Hi there guys, welcome to episode 2 of the discussion on units within Mythic Battles Pantheon. So today we've got Poseidon. So we're going to split it into 3 sections. So the most part we'll be discussing the mythology and their stats, abilities and talents within the game. And then we just have a general sum up and review of Poseidon himself, at least as far as he goes in the game. Now, Poseidon was the 4th son of Kronos and Rhea. Rhea doesn't appear in the game, but she is the mother of all of the initial Olympian gods. So all of the sons of Kronos and the siblings of Zeus, they all come from Kronos and Rhea. Now, in fact, actually, you can think of it, he's either the 4th child or the 3rd, because there is a rebirth within that family, and if you want to know more about that, you have to wait for the Kronos video to come out, which we'll get there eventually. So just to sum up before we begin, this is part 2. So part 1 was Echo, so go back and have a look at that if you want. This is going to run on for well over 100 episodes, because we're going to run this right through Mythic Battles Pantheon and right into Mythic Battles of Ragnarok when it arrives, if I'm able to get a copy. So Poseidon, he's the god of sea, storms, earthquakes and pretty randomly horses. He's also sometimes given the name of Earth Shaker. He took possession of the sea after the defeat of his father Cronus at the end of the Titanomachy, the great war between the gods and titans. After the battle was won, Zeus took control over the cosmos, and Poseidon and Hades drew lots over possession of either the seas or the oceans. Of either the seas and oceans or the underworld. Secretly, both wanted the seas, but Poseidon, he won, and Hades was left with the underworld. So Poseidon's main domain was the city of Atlantis, the legendary city of Atlantis. Now, I often think about, for me, the Greek mythology has got a lot to do with, I love the Trojan War and everything about Troy. And I often look to see which gods stacked up and faced off against each other for that. Well, obviously no gods faced off against each other, but they did get involved lightly. Now, Poseidon took the side of the Greeks. But when that battle was done, and another supporter of Greece, Odysseus, was on his way home, and we'll go into this in his video at length, but he blinded the son of Poseidon, Polyphemus. As a punishment for this, Poseidon pushed Odysseus' ships around the oceans for 10 years, so this delayed Odysseus' journey home to Ithaca. It also destroyed his ships and his companions and that kind of stuff. In a race between him and Athena that was set up by Cecrops or Cecrops. Cecrops, he was the king of Athens at one point, and he set up this race, and the winner would get the divine graces or the worship of the people of Athens. Now, Cecrops, he decreed that Athena was the winner, and as a result, Poseidon said, well, up yours, and he put a great flood on the Attic plain. So that was retribution against kind of being shunned by the the Athenians and by Cecrops. He also ravaged Medusa against her will in a temple to Athena, which Athena got very mad about and punished Medusa greatly for it, hence the way she looks. So we're kind of getting a story here that Poseidon isn't really a great guy. He's very wrathful and he does what he wants. Now, another example of that is the fact that he's very much like his brother Zeus, in that although he was married to Amphitrite, he fathered probably hundreds of different Greek heroes and monsters and that kind of thing. So just from the game, his children are Polyphemus, Antaeus, Charybdis, Theseus, Scylla, Orion, Bellerophon. He used to sow his wild oats to great effect. And funny enough, not that much with Amphitrite, his wife. So yeah, he had lots and lots of kids. In some accounts, he was defeated by the monster Typhon. Defeated but not killed. This was in Typhon's, when he went to go and he wanted to destroy Zeus for rule over the cosmos, rule over everything actually. When we think about Typhon, actually, I can't wait for his video because he's a very, very complex character in the Greek Pantheon. He's not just a rampaging monster. I know he's a Titan in the game. He's not actually a Titan, but he's a very complex and powerful character in the mythology. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So that gives us a kind of general feel for who Poseidon was. You know, he was pretty selfish. He was very wrathful, and yeah, he was not to be trifled with. Absolutely. Now, it's funny enough, his mother Rhea, will have more content on her later on. I'm going to do another video in the future, and that will basically be what characters from the Greek Pantheon which are not included in Mythic battles currently would you like to see in later expansions. You know, it's a very interesting thing to think about, and you know, for me, there's probably hundreds more that I'd like to be in it, but I'm going to maybe do a top 10 or something like that. If there's anything from Greek mythology that you would love to see in this game, let me know in the comments, and I'll at least gloss over it, if not go into in depth in that video. So let's talk about stats, abilities, talents, and that kind of thing. So Poseidon, when you recruit him for 6 recruitment points, he comes with 4 activations. His top attacks is 8 dice, which is good. His top defense is a defense of 9, which is very good, and he has 10 wounds, which is great as well. He has a movement of 2, which is pretty good. Most of the gods are 2. There's only 2 gods that go over it. Can I remember who they are? It's Aphrodite and Hermes, I believe. Yes, those are the only gods that've got a better movement. But obviously his movement does drop off the more wounds he receives. But he has got some terrific abilities or powers. Okay, so this Divine Storm. At the start of Poseidon's activation, you may move any units in his area into an adjacent area they could normally enter. You decide which units move and where. Units do not all have to be moved to the same area. So what does that mean? Areas that they could move into. So it means that either it's not full, or it's not an object that needs to be climbed if they don't have the climb talent, things like that. Now that's very, very cool. It allows him to clear the decks. Unfortunately, because it's a passive ability, it won't allow him to claim it on Phalos the same turn, because you can't do a complex action at the same time as doing that action. But it's very, very good, and it's a great setup for his other ability or power, sorry, which is Trident. Now get this. This is pretty powerful. So let's say with Divine Storm, you move everything out of your area, and then you wait until your next activation, and you can do Trident that costs 2 Art of War, make an X dice area attack on 3 different areas within Poseidon's range. Now Poseidon's normally got a range of 0, but he gets a +1 for using the Trident power. So that means that 3 separate areas around where he is, he gets to make area attacks. And if you use your Divine Storm power in the run up to this, you know, on a different activation, you can really set it up so you can deal up some really good damage. And that Trident, you know, at its best, you roll 7 dice in each area attack. So it's huge. It's a really, really good power. But to be fair, it's a tough one because it does have that 2 Art of War cards. So it's expensive, but it's also very good. Now Poseidon, as well as that, what has he got? Mighty Throw, which is good. So Mighty Throw, he's got that as well as Divine Storm. So, you know, he can hope for some blanks to clear his decks if he doesn't use Divine Storm. So that Divine Storm, again, that's at the beginning of his activation. So it doesn't matter if you've got block or anything like that. He's pushing you out. I mean, he's got block himself anyway. So, yeah, he definitely bosses that. He's also got the leader ability. So maybe when you're looking at your Divine Storm power, maybe be careful about how you operate that. Because obviously if you do that, you don't get to use some talents later on and that kind of thing. So yeah, got to be careful how you use him. But for me, just to sum up, he's a top tier god as far as I'm concerned. He rolls lots of dice in attack. He's got good defense with 9 and 10 wounds. Standard 6 recruitment points, 4 activation cards, and he comes with an Art of War. In terms of gods, he's on a par with the highest attacks and vitality, plus he's on a par with the highest attacks and vitality of almost all of the gods, and he's also got that initial movement of 2, which, to be fair, is, you know, most of the gods have got 2, but it's good to start off with. If he's got that movement of 2 plus the Divine Storm, you know, he can really open things up for himself. You know, it's very, very good stats in general. Now, I'll leave it there. So thanks very much for watching. If you want to see a specific hero or god or anything from the game, let me know in the comments and I'll get round to those ones sooner rather than later. So I've got 2 lined up next. That is going to be Leonidas next, and then Eurytion. Those have already been requested. And then whatever you tell me you want next, I will do it in that order. But that will be 3 heroes and 1 god in. So maybe after that, let's maybe try and get one of the monsters out or something like that. But I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Much appreciated. Like I say, this series is going to be around for a long time, so make sure you subscribe so you can get this as soon as it comes out. So thanks very much. Much appreciated. Have a great day.